Hey team, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to program your robot to move in Python. So first we have to open a new project, Spike Prime, new project, Python, and I'm just going to call it movement and create. Right, so I'm going to set up my interface here, which I always do. I'm going to comment it, and I'm going to call it import libraries. I'm going to have it be define functions and then call functions. Now, these three parts will always be included when you open a program. I would always leave the import libraries. I would always leave your hub being called your prime hub, and then I would just delete your light matrix show image, right? So I would always start every single project set up just like this. Especially in the beginning, it's going to make your life easier. Now, we want to do movement, right? We need to program our robot to move. So a way to help us, right, if we look on the right-hand side here, right, you may have our knowledge base collapse. So you can take this and click, or you can click and drag it to make your knowledge base come out, right? So there's our knowledge base is like a good reference for us whenever we're using a particular section or a particular function, or if, we're a little bit lost. So if we can go to, I don't know, we're going to use motor pairs today, right? So we go to motor pairs. It's going to show us how we can use the motor pairs in a bunch of different ways. Now, my recommendation is that you stick with MoveTank for movement, okay? And the reason being, utilizing the MoveTank function, we can do movement forward and back, and we can do our turning just by utilizing this one function and changing the parameters. So the parameters are really all the options that we have for this, right? So if I drag it out, so the MoveTank function, right, we're going to first call our, motors that we're using, and then we're going to put in the function MoveTank, and then the parameters we have is the amount, meaning like how many times we're moving, whether that's rotations, centimeters, seconds, whatever, the value, the unit, right? And then we can also control the speeds of both the left and the right motor. And really, we don't have to do that every single time, and especially I'm going to show you something now, but that's going to be in a later video helping us to turn. Okay, so when we define our functions, we always need to set our movement motors, and we need to set our speed, just like we do with every word block program. So I always call them motor underscore pair. That's what we're naming the motors that we're using, right? Motor underscore pair equals. And then we're calling motor pair. And you notice my capitalization here matters, right? So you have to capitalize M and you have to capitalize the P in pair. And then you have to do one parenthesis and you'll get the second one. And now you have to label what two motors. Now, I typically use C and D, so you have to use like an apostrophe, C, and it's a capital C, and you notice it brings the second apostrophe. Then you go over, comma, apostrophe, capital D. Right, so now my movement motors are C and D, and I'm going to set my speed. So what we do with that is we call our motor pair, right, because that's what we're talking about, motor underscore pair. And then we're going to use, if we go over to our knowledge base and we're talking about tank, we can set our default speed. All right, so the function for that is set underscore default underscore speed, and then we input our speed from negative 100 to 100. So I'm going to go motor pair dot set underscore default underscore speed parenthesis, and then input our default, and just say we want to go a little bit slower, we want to be a little bit more accurate, 35, and then enter. Now it's extremely important, and I would use this especially while you're getting comfortable. Use your knowledge base as you are programming, because there's no autocomplete feature, right? At least there isn't yet. So you need to make sure you are spelling everything correctly. Otherwise, if I only had SPED, this would not run correctly, right? You have to make sure everything's spelled correctly and your punctuation matters. Okay, so I define my motors, set my movement motors. So here I'll go set movement motors to C and D. And then here, I'm going to set my speed. Set speed to 35. Okay, so now I have my movement motors, I have my speed. When we call our functions, I would always add a wait block. And again, you certainly could go through your knowledge base to try and find where it is, but just to save us the time and effort, right? If we go wait underscore for underscore seconds, that's the function, add a parenthesis, and then I can wait for 1 second. And now here's where the code really goes, right? So if I'm looking at my move tank block, right, my function is move tank. Now I need to call upon my C and D motor pair. So before I can do move tank, I'm going to go motor underscore pair, right? And then it's dot or period, and now it's the actual function, move underscore tank. And that's the function. Now I can input my parameters by adding a parenthesis. And now we just can run through this, right? So the amount and the unit, right? The value and the unit. Let's just say I want to go forward for 1 rotation. So I would go the number 1, and it's separated by a comma. So then I would go here, and I would do a comma. And then you need to input your unit in like apostrophe, right? So I'm going to do that, and then you notice 2 of them come up, and I'm going to use rotations. We always use rotations still. So 1 rotation, and then because I already set my default speed for my motor pair, and because I'm traveling forward, right, I don't need to add a speed to both the left and the right motor. So I can just leave it as 1 rotation, and then it should work. And put it as rotations, even though you're just using 1. And then I could hit enter, and then I'm going to have it stop too. So motor underscore pair dot stop, and then just an empty parenthesis. And then now I always add in at the very last line of code is going to be raise, it's lowercase, and then system exit. So now my robot, if I download, so I want to connect it same exact way, connect, back to project, whatever number, all my Pythons go to 5, and then download. Once that stops spinning and I run my code, when I run it, it's going to wait for 1 second, then it's going to move forward for 1 rotation, stop, and exit. All right, so anytime we need to do any kind of movement, we need to use the move tank function, and we use this parameter list here. All right, hope that helps. Good luck.